By definition, an interview is a form of conversation where one participant asks questions and another participant answers questions. Over the years, there have been many disturbing interviews. Here are 4 of them. In 1996, Ann Salter conducted a series of interviews for a documentary entitled Truth, Lies and Sex Offenders. As you can imagine, the documentary features some of the lowest people in society, people who hurt children. Here is one interview with a particularly sadistic man.
In this next section, Robert describes behavior that puts him in the category of power and controlled rapist, but doesn't necessarily tell us his problems are pervasive and that he has no capacity for attachment. That will come later.
Yeah, it was power and control. I was grooming her from the age of, it started at about the age of 1. When I was the punisher, I was the one who decided punishment over the children. I was the one who spanked the children. I was the one who punished the children. And if I seen the children doing anything wrong, even bickering and arguing amongst themselves, I would whip them and tell them, you know, just kids playing. I would tell myself, well, she's not going to be like that. She is going to be the perfect mate. And I told myself that. And I didn't molest her then.
The perfect mate.
The perfect
So you were...
mate. I was grooming her to fit me. To fit me.
And at what age?
I started at about a year. I started grooming her, whooping her, and telling her this, to do this, not do that. Then when I molested her at 18 months old. And I thought to myself, I said, well, this is going to be easy. This is going to be easy. I'm going to have my own child, my own stepdaughter, which is really not blood related to me. And I'm telling myself these things, it's not blood related to me. When she grows up to be 14, 15 years old, I will have the perfect sexual mate for sexual purposes. Anything else didn't matter. It was sex. That was it. I didn't care about, really, honestly, I didn't love the child. I wanted the child for my own purposes. I was the one potty training her, okay? My wife let me potty train her. I potty trained her. And at the first when I was potty training her, I gave her a break. Every now and then she could use the bathroom in her pants. But I was setting her on that stool for sometimes hours at a time, telling her to use the bathroom there. She started doing it. She started using the potty, and then all of a sudden I've been doing this for about 3 or 4 months, and she got good at it, and then all of a sudden she would use the bathroom in her pants, and I would tear her hide up. I would actually put bruises on her butt by spanking her by using the bathroom in her pants.
How'd you get a little kid to sit on the potty for hours? That's an awful long time.
Yell and scream, tell her you're going to use that potty, and you ain't going to get off that potty till you use that potty. Have you used the potty yet? No. You're going to sit there until you use it. And as I look back, I was done that way, the same way she was done.
How was you justified in your head?
How would I justify it in my head? She's going to do what I want her to do, and that's it. She's going to use the bathroom. She's going to, let's say that I told her that Daddy loves her, and Daddy's going to take care of her, and Daddy's going to give her anything she wants as long as she does what Daddy tells her. I got married at 19, and I kind of like refrained from, or tried to refrain from sexually acting out with any other ladies besides her, because I knew that AIDS was coming out, and I knew that diseases were very frequent. And I started thinking to myself that if I stick with this one girl and just groom her, or one woman, I would groom her and get her to do what I wanted her to do. And eventually she did. She done what I asked her to do. It was no problem. It was a little at a time, and I done it. And I manipulated her and coerced her. Manipulation, coercion, violent behaviors, striking her, get her so drunk she'd pass out, and I'd do what I want to with her. I'd force myself upon her when she was passed out and did what I pleased. And my sexual behavior got real out of whack. Yeah, I made her force objects into her vagina. I made her, forced her into watching pornographic material and stating that I wanted to do that certain thing to her. I wanted to have sex with her constantly. This was every day, 3 or 4 times. I would get it, want it as many times in the day as I could get it. And I have got it up to 6 times in one day. And still, I did not have enough. I wanted more. It was like a fix. I wanted it. And I did anything I could to get it.
And how many victims did you have total?
I have a total of 24 now. And I'm looking to see if I have any more.
And were these, you said these were all kids except 2?
No. Oh, yeah, well, they were under the age of 18. Most of my victims were the age of 11 to 16.
And how did you get control of them? Was it through force and control and violence?
It was manipulation. No, it wasn't violence. It was more like manipulation. It was coercion. It was like, I'll buy you this, I'll give you that, you know, and treating them like a person, but they were just objects. They were just objects. I was doing anything in my power to get them to give sex up, to give it up. And that's what I used to tell them. I said, give it up, you know. After I would have done, say, groomed them up, and then and they would comply. I would buy them beer, get them drunk, get them high, get them, any way that I could manipulate a woman or a girl, a child, into having sex, I would do it.
In this section, you will see the lack of attachment to anyone that suggests Robert is not only a power and control sex offender, he is quite psychopathic as well.
The best way to fool people is to help them, is to ask what they want, ask what they need. Do they need any help doing anything? Do they need any money, or do they need their car fixed? Do they need the grass cut? Do they need their children looked out for? Do they need a job? Do they need anything to get them to think that I am a decent person and want to help? Trust me, I will help. And overall, that was a flat-out lie.
Why do you think makes people so trusting?
What do you mean, as far as trusting?
Trusting you.
Trusting me? Because to trust me, I thought that I could be trusted to a certain extent. But behind their back, no. I would take things from them, steal from them, scope out things that I could steal, just see what I could get out of somebody, just get what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I see something I want to get somebody to trust me. Like, say if I was to go over and cut this person's grass fix his car, loan him some money, and then and if I see something I want, like he's got a nice stereo, then, and I would set it up. I would say, hey, well, he's not home at such and such a time. That'd be the perfect time to go get me a stereo. So I would say, hey, he's gone. I know exactly how to get in through the back way. I'll even go into his house and open a window so I can come in here tomorrow and steal his stereo. I was looking out for number one, for me. I didn't have any empathy for anybody else because it seemed to me nobody had any empathy for me. I wasn't going to give anybody any empathy who didn't give it to me. And that was it. That was bottom line. You don't. I didn't have people cry for me or tell me, ask me if I needed anything. Then, you know, I wouldn't use any empathy. I would fake it. Now, fake empathy, like saying I know how you feel. I've been in that situation before. I've done that and it didn't turn out all that hot. And I would fake it, but there wasn't no empathy there. That was just a show. That was just to tell. That was just to get the person to say, well, hey, you know, it seems like he's pretty good fellow. And, you know, that was manipulation all the way.
In the mid-2000s, paedophile Jack McClellan ran a website where he would help other paedophiles find girls in the Los Angeles area. He was stupid enough to go onto the Steve Wilkos show, appearing in an episode that aired on September 13, 2007.
My first guest today is a self-admitted pedophile. Self-admitted pedophile, and up until a month ago, he ran a website for other pedophiles describing how to find girls in parks to take pictures of them, rape them, avoid the police. This guy could have been in the park taking pictures of your little girls and putting them on a website and so other pedophiles could look at them. In my opinion, this guy is a monster. And because he ran this website and everybody knows who he is, he's being hunted wherever he goes. Exactly. So are you ready to meet this guy? Yeah. All right, here he is, Jack McClellan. Take a seat. You can understand the audience reaction to you. Now, first of all, I want to look into the eyes of a monster, so I'd like you to take your sunglasses off.
Well, the only reason I wear the sunglasses is because of the lighting. My eyes just...
I'll tell you this, either you take those sunglasses off or I'm going to take them off for you. I can't put them in your pocket. I think if you are out there saying that you're a pedophile, then you should be able to look everybody in the eye and not hide behind those sunglasses, okay?
Yeah! Fair enough.
Now, you're a self-admitted pedophile, right?
Yes. I just find girls more attractive than women. That's the gist of it.
From what I understand, you're talking about girls as young as 3 years old to like 11 years old.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You have sexual attraction to these girls.
It's not all sexual. In fact, I wouldn't say the majority of it is sexual, but to be honest, there is a sexual element, yes.
Do you think that this is a problem? In your own mind. I mean, we think that this is terrible, this is horrible. But in your mind, do you know what you're doing? Is it bad in your mind? Do you know in your soul that this is wrong?
No, my conscience is clear. I've never broken the law. I mean, even you can ask the authorities in California.
I'm not asking about the law, and we'll get to all that. But I'm saying inside you, you don't feel like some guiltiness, like this is bad, this is wrong, these are children, I shouldn't be doing this? But then you go and you make it easier for other pedophiles to do this?
Well, I'm really not doing anything. I'm not having sex with kids.
Listen, wait a second, wait a second. You're running a website up until a month ago.
Yeah.
It says you're giving tips for other pedophiles. You don't see anything wrong with that?
Well, I'm giving tips on how to enjoy children non-sexually and legally.
Here's the damn thing about it. Being a pedophile is wrong. Now, you might not be able to control yourself. It's wrong. But then you go and you make it easier for other pedophiles to do this? You think at any level inside you, you don't feel this is wrong, that you shouldn't be doing this?
I don't know. I'm kind of rethinking everything.
If you're rethinking, then you know at some point that this is wrong.
Well,
and you know, I promised Richard, my executive producer, I was going to come out and stay cool and calm for a while, but I can't. Now, you know, up on the screen here is his website, and on this website he gave tips on rating the cuteness of little girls and where there was a police presence. Like, you could go to this park and there's all these little girls, and you'll be safe because there's no police. This is what tips he's given to other pedophiles. Yesterday, me and my executive producer, while we were going over your story and that you were going to be on the show, there was a woman on another channel talking about, you don't want to go out and take a baseball bat to you or something like that. And you know what I was thinking in my head? I honestly, the first reaction was, if you did that to my daughter, I would take a baseball bat to your head. And I'm not saying you, Jack, any pedophile, because I'm telling you this, as a father, and I think every father and every mother that's out there that is trying to protect and love their children, they would feel the same way. And I would suffer any consequence because of my actions if you did anything to hurt my children. Now, this just came in. I was just handed this, and this is, says the police are investigating allegations against you that you were in a girl's dressing room last month. Says this girl says that she saw you after her 9-year-old daughter performed a solo dance, and you were taking pictures of her. Is that true?
in California?
I don't care where it's at.
I'm just...
This is the story that you're hearing. So you're saying it's false.
No, someone just pulled that out of thin air.
Tell me some of the things you did do.
Everything I do was pretty much public knowledge on the site.
Well, you know what? These people don't know. So I want you to say and tell everybody watching the show in this audience the things that you did.
I only legal stuff on the site. The photos were legal. The blogging was obviously protected by the First Amendment.
I got to admit, I just want to punch you right in the face, but I'm not going to. Because, you know, because what makes me angry about this whole story is that you have a sickness. You have a sickness inside you about this. But what gets me is that then you go and you help all these other sickos to do the same thing that you do.
All I saw myself doing was, with the site, was just encouraging what I was doing.
Which is wrong.
Well, I was just legally enjoying children at these events.
Children are defenseless. Do you understand that? They look up to older people. They're trying. They need people to protect, to love them. They cannot protect themselves. And you're going out and you're encouraging people to do bad things to children.
No, I don't want to see anything bad happen to children.
Then you wouldn't run that website. You say there's a code of ethics for pedophiles. Explain to us, how is there a code of ethics for pedophiles?
Just that everything has to be consensual, no coercion.
Children cannot be consensual. Do you understand it?
Personally, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I wouldn't go all the way to sex.
How can a 3-year-old be consensual? Tell me that.
Well, I mean, as long as the child can verbalize...
Get off your ass and get off your ass. Stand up. I gotta say, you don't deserve to sit on my stage. You know that? You don't get a chance. Now, you know, let me tell you something, and I'll let you explain this code of ethics. In the Marine Corps, we had ethics, and we had morals, and we had integrity. And as policemen, we had morals and integrity and principles. And those things are about protecting this country and protecting our citizens, protecting them from people like you.
A few months after appearing on the show, Jack made another appearance in an episode that aired on January 9th, 2008. In the time since appearing on the show again, he had been arrested for violation of a restraining order. Needless to say, neither Steve nor his audience were necessarily excited to see Jack again.
Alright, Jack is back. Let's bring him out. Alright, Jack, you know not to sit on my stage. When I heard that you were coming back, I had to ask, why would you come back on the show after what we've seen?
Well, Steve, I just feel I have a message that needs to be heard, that it's possible to be a law-abiding pedophile. I know that sounds a little crazy, but...
it does sound crazy. But what I want to know is, a child really can't give consent. They're children. They don't have the, you know, in their head to know what's going on, to give that consent. And I think it does. We have story after story up here, Jack, that these young kids, when they were younger, they get molested, and they have dealing with problems the rest of their life, serious problems, because of what somebody did to them when they were a child.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm wrestling with this in my head. I think there's a difference between the older prepubescent girls and the real young ones. I mean, I think the older ones, maybe 9, 10, 11, they're more mature. They know about...
No. So, no, you know what, Jack? I'm gonna... For the point of having a discussion, I am gonna hold in all my anger and talk to you without getting too angry just yet, okay?
Okay, just yet.
So you're saying that at a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, that you think, maybe before that, maybe I have a little moral issue. But 9, 10, 11, the moral issue's not there?
Well, again, I'm wrestling with all this in my head and debating it, and I think that the older ones, there's a big question whether it really is damaging. I mean,
do you remember when you were 9 or 10?
Yeah.
And would if somebody started having sex with you at 9 or 10, you don't think that would have screwed you up? Or I mean, I got to ask, were you ever sexually molested?
No.
You're giving tips to other pedophiles on how to find good-looking little kids, where to go, what's the best spots.
Yeah. But so I've toned it down quite a bit.
You've toned it down quite a bit. How did you tone it down, Jack?
Well, the reviews now are just a couple lines for each review.
For each review
of each event I went to, a kiddie event. And
So
I just think it's a lot more tame and...
so you go to kiddie events
Yeah.
where there's little children, and then you'll post a review like you just went to see a movie.
That's about the size of it.
Explain your rating system on the website.
Well, it's just, like you said, like the movie ratings, except I use hearts instead of stars. It's more appropriate, because...
You use hearts instead of stars when you're rating the little girls?
I am an adult victim of a pedophile, and I think that you are absolutely disgusting. First of all, I can't get over your outfit. I mean, is this what you wear to charm children? You ruin lives.
I'm sorry for what happened to you, but
No, well, what happened to me, you're repeating it. You're doing it to other children. I don't believe for a second that you refrain or you restrain or whatever. I believe that you have done stuff. You're probably not wanting to admit it because you're on television and the cops are looking at you or whatever. But, you know, there's no question in my mind that you probably have done something and certainly do want to do something, okay? And let me tell you something. Little girls ages 3 to 11 do not find you hot. They do not like being touched. They don't like how you smell. They don't like how you look. They don't like how they feel. And it's not consensual, okay? It's not.
Howard Stern has been doing his show for years and doesn't show any sign of stopping. He's had a few controversies occur throughout his career, such as the way he responded to the murder of Selena, which I actually covered on this channel before, or the entire situation with Dana Plato, which almost needs its own entry. But on August 13th, 1997, an alleged serial killer called onto the show.
I got a guy on the phone who claims he's been killing prostitutes and he's wondering why he's doing it. Oh, God. So maybe he thinks I have an answer. Is this Ed? Ed?
No, this isn't Ed.
Oh.
You haven't killed any prostitutes?
No, I never said my name was Ed.
Oh. Sorry.
That's okay.
What name do you use?
You can call me Clay.
Clay?
Clay?
Yes, Clay. Okay, Clay. So what happened? How many prostitutes have you killed?
12.
And you're wondering why you do it?
I have a pretty good idea.
Why? Did your mom beat you? Did your mom spank you?
Was your mom a prostitute?
No. Actually, nothing like that.
What is it then?
I think I just do it for the sense of the power.
All right. Do you have sex with them first?
Yes, and...
And then what, you strangle them?
Once.
How else did you kill them?
Well, a few times, actually most times with a hammer.
And where do you do this primarily?
I've done it twice in a parking garage, and then the rest of the times on the side of the road.
And you're from the New Orleans area?
Yes.
And how, I mean, what do you beat them to death with a hammer?
Man.
That usually only takes once, and
Dude, you got to have a lot of anger in you.
yes.
And that means you're heartless. Did you used to kill small animals?
No, I've killed a rat.
Yeah. Dude, you're a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And you get away with it, I guess, because they're hookers, and so far nobody's...
Howard?
What?
Is this Howard?
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
I didn't know this was Howard.
Yeah, it's Howard.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never killed a kitten.
So how old were you when you killed your first woman?
16.
And you must be a powerful kind of guy, big guy.
I wasn't then.
Right. And when you killed your first one, did you go in there knowing you were going to kill her, or it just sort of happened?
I knew I really had it planned out. You know, I wanted to do the whole sending clues.
Right.
Oh, yeah, are you
to
in...
baffle people, but it turned out no one noticed for a long time.
Right. Like you killed her on the side of the road?
Her, that was the parking garage.
Okay. And then what'd you do with the body? You dumped that somewhere?
Yeah, actually. I think she's probably one of the ones that they found.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. You were sending clues that you were going to do this?
No, I
He was going to like.
Doing that.
He was going to leave like a note for the newspapers, and
But you decided not to.
he didn't want to be famous or draw attention to himself. But the problem is,
that's what I wanted to do. But
but you did, but no one noticed the clues.
I never sent the clues. I never left anything. I wanted to have my own little signature.
Right.
I wanted to thumb paint
Oh,
with their thumbs.
Oh, really?
What do you want to do?
Thumb paint with their thumbs.
Thumb paint what, though?
I don't know.
Oh, anything. It was in a comic book a couple of years ago. Just seemed like a good idea.
Like you take the girl you killed, you dip her thumbs in paint, and then you do like a thumb painting?
Yes.
On a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Now, after you kill somebody, do you play with the body?
Actually, the closest I've ever done to that is I always make sure I pay them and I make sure they keep their money.
Oh, really?
When they're still alive, but with one of them I did put the money in a compromising place.
I see.
But this one, it had a penis.
Oh, really?
It was a guy.
Yeah, I didn't know at first.
So do you ever get, do you think the reason you're so angry is because you were abused or something?
No, I wasn't abused, Howard.
Where's your family?
You got a wife?
I mean, you got a mom, a dad, a wife, children. You got any of that?
I've got a couple of kids, but
no wife.
Not married to the mother.
You're a white guy?
Yeah, Howard, that's pretty funny because the only suspect they had when they started finding the bodies was a black police officer.
Oh.
Turns out one of them was associated with them.
Oh, really?
Are you on drugs?
I've done acid a few times.
So,
but nothing heavy.
So after you killed the first 60-year-old, like you finished.
No, I was 16.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
She was.
All right. So you finished with your sexual gratification, and then you.
Not always, no.
Not always. You don't even want to get laid sometimes.
No,
You just want to kill.
I'm just bored.
Right.
But does the killing sexually satisfy you in some way?
I can't believe Ed McMahon's not laughing.
I've eaten off thinking about it later.
Yeah.
What do you say?
That's about it.
He's pleasured himself thinking about it later.
Oh, he has. Okay. Now, how far apart are these murders? Like, do you murder and then, like, you feel satisfied for a while?
I don't even understand why I do it, Howard. I don't know if I ever get any satisfaction.
But how often?
The gather anywhere was the same night.
Really?
You killed two people in the same night?
Yeah, but I went to Mississippi for the second one.
So there's no pattern to how many weeks or days between murders?
No.
Are these mostly white chicks or black chicks?
A fair number of them have been black. The transvestite was black.
You think there's some racial motivation here?
No, Howard. They were just, let's just say, a Jimmy Swaggart town.
Jimmy Swaggart town.
Don't know what that means.
Me neither, but...
That's pretty much the area around here where the prostitutes all hang out.
I see.
And it's just whoever comes up to you. You don't pick a certain type?
I don't even approach them. I wait for them to approach me, Robin.
So that's like them asking for it.
Do you ever, like, look into their eyes and go, gee, these people were just children at one point, and maybe they just had a tough life?
I've let a couple go.
You have? Like, what happened? You're in the middle of killing them, and then they what do they say? Why would you let one go and kill the other?
There was this one.
Go ahead.
I think she was probably really new to it.
Yeah.
There was just something about her. Maybe she reminded me of my ex-fiance, but...
Right. You somehow relate...
More of an innocent quality.
You somehow felt bad for her.
Yeah.
So you killed your first woman.
When was the last time you killed?
It's been a few months.
Right.
Actually, it's been going on a year.
So what do you think you're going to do? Do you think you're going to kill yourself? Do you think that
Are you going to kill again?
Can you stop this?
If I killed myself, I'd miss the next Batman movie.
Right. You don't want to do that.
No.
No, but in all seriousness, I mean, do you think that you can control this? Do you think you can stop?
I think I have been.
Oh, you have been for the last couple of months.
A year he hasn't killed.
Oh, a year?
Yeah.
Almost.
So why do you think you stopped killing all of a sudden?
I really don't know, Howard. Part of it had to do with my car broke down.
Oh, no transportation.
Seriously? That's the reason?
Well, that was the reason for a month, but after that, I guess it was all self-control.
Wow.
But so you don't want to do this anymore?
No, he wants to do it, but he's controlling himself. Like, you want to kill women, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And what do you like? Do you enjoy seeing them struggle as you kill them?
Actually, none of them really struggle.
Do you hit them from behind, or do they see it coming?
I can't get inside their minds, but let's just say I hit them.
But, I mean, are you facing them?
Yeah.
Well, so you can see their face and everything when you do it.
Yeah. The worst I've ever gotten was, one tried to grab my neck. I've never gotten any of the claw marks or anything that are, dead giveaways.
Right, you must be very powerful.
I wouldn't call myself powerful, maybe, intimidating.
Why did you use a hammer? You think you...
Because it was in a book I read.
Oh.
Well, everything's come from
Cartoons
somebody
and...
else.
Yeah. When's the last time you got laid?
Last week, Howard.
Oh, yeah, so you didn't kill that girl?
No.
Because she wasn't a hooker?
No.
Right.
It's only hookers, though.
A lot of serial killers are only into hookers because they know, A,
Easy.
probably won't get caught, and B, they have some kind of anger toward hookers. So there's no way I'm going to talk you into giving yourself up or anything, right?
No.
I shouldn't even waste my time. I know I'm going to get calls after this, and people are going to go, Howard, how come you didn't catch him?
Has anybody ever been close to catching you?
No. No. Actually, someone once, when it was in the newspaper, someone joked to me, I know it was you, but, well, they were joking.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos. I wouldn't do that to myself.
Right.
And do you get high before you do this?
I've gotten pretty drunk before.
Yeah.
I'm the only guy you could... Am I the only guy you ever told about this?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's sort of an honor.
I've told a couple of women, Howard, but,
They're dead.
Yeah. Do you tell them first and then you kill them?
yeah.
What do you say to them? Let me...
Fun.
All right, let's see.
Every now and then you can play the running game if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and we got a lot in the middle of nowhere down here.
Right. So, in other words, let's say you're with a woman, right? A hooker.
Yeah, Howard.
And you say to her, okay, honey, you just had sex and everything. What do you say to her to torment her? How do you break the news to her that she's going to die?
It really depends on my mood.
Just give us an example.
Well, if I wanted to, I could just say Baba Booey, but that would be pretty,
No, come on, be serious. What do you say to him?
I can say you're going to die.
And then what do they do?
I like to articulate a little more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I ask them if they think it's dangerous, doing what they're doing, if they're worried about things, and they'll laugh it off, and that just pisses me off.
Right. And then you go ahead and you kill him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
Apparently the next day, the FBI arrived at Howard's studio and took a recording of the broadcast into custody. Apparently the claims that the killer made were genuine and was not public information. It's speculated that Clay was Russell Elwood, but he was in prison at the time the call was made. So unless the call was heavily monitored, it could not have been him. The identity of Clay is still unknown, and he's probably still out there, possibly still killing. Going back to Ann Salter's Truth, Lies and Sex Offenders, she interviewed a man named Gerald who did some things to his 9-year-old stepson. And heads up, these are some of the sickest things you'll ever hear, so turn the video off now if you don't want to hear them. By the time it's finished, you'll want to use a baseball bat on this fucking demon.
This next man, Gerald, is a sadistic sex offender. As he'll tell us, he is sexually aroused by inflicting pain. The victim he's describing is his 9-year-old stepson.
After about 2 years of molesting my son and all the pornography that I had been buying, renting, swapping, I had gotten my hands on some bondage and discipline pornography with children involved. And some of the reading that I had done and the pictures that I had seen showed total submission, forcing the children to do what I wanted. And I had eventually started using some of this bondage and discipline with my own son. And it had escalated to the point where I was putting a large Ziploc bag over his head and taping it around his neck with black duct tape or black electrical tape and raping and molesting him at that point. to the point that he would turn blue, pass out. At that point, I would rip the bag off his head, not for fear of hurting him, but because of the excitement. I was extremely aroused by inflicting pain. And when I seen him pass out and change colors, that was very arousing and heightening to me. And I would rip the bag off his head, and then I'd jump up on his chest and I'd masturbate in his face and make him suck my penis while he was, as he started to come back awake. While he was coughing and choking, I would rape him in the mouth. I used the same sadistic styled act of the plastic bag and the tape 2-3 times a week, and that went on for, I'd say, a little over a year. If I hadn't been arrested when I was, my stepson would be dead. I would have killed him. I had been fantasizing about killing a victim during the course of rape or molest about 5 or 6 months, all during the course of the molestation of my stepson when I was using the Ziploc, the plastic bag over his head. I had fantasized and thought about killing him, letting him go ahead and suffocate during the process of the molestation. I believe it would have been maybe as short as another month or two, and I would have actually killed him if I was not arrested.
Gerald's sadistic attacks continued despite the fact that his stepson reported him repeatedly. No one believed the child.
It was reported to my wife and my parents probably 6 or 7 different times. And there was actually one instance where I went to the police station myself to turn myself in. And the officer at the desk told me to go home and sleep off my drunk. And I left. If it wasn't for the fact that my landlord had found some pornographic pictures of my son in the attic of the home where we were living, I would probably still be molesting.
As you might expect, Gerald didn't confine his sexual assaults to the home. In fact, he had a lengthy history of attacking children outside the home as well. He had molested children from ages 4 to 16, with a preference for 10 to 14-year-old boys.
I've been raping and molesting for over a period of 25 years, and I have in excess of 300 victims.
Hands-on victims?
All hands-on victims.
Okay. How did you get access to so many victims?
Children are on the street all the time. I created my own opportunities. There were children at stores. I had picked some children up at the stores, at penny arcades, and I have snatched some off the street.
Now, by pick them up, do you mean by grooming? You talk them into it, or do you mean violently grab them and kidnap them?
Sometimes there had been some violent kidnapping. Snatching a child off the street, pulling him into my car, taking him to a deserted area, raping and molesting him, and then taking him back to where I had snatched him from. There had been incidents where I would groom the child with toys, money. I'd see a child in a store standing around the toy displays, and I would offer to buy the toy that this child may be looking at, and would actually walk up to the counter and pay for the toy and walk out of the store with the child and the toy. And then I would, after I had taken the child to a deserted area or a house that I had actually fixed up for the purpose of raping and molesting children, I would take the child back to the store where I had got him from and leave him off at the front door and leave.
Gerald covered up his raping and molesting by living what might be called the double life. Friends and associates had no clue he was a violent man.
I believe I feel more that I led a triple life. I was one way at home, I was one way at work, and I was a different way in the community. When I was at home, I was a molesting monster. I would rape and molest. When I was in the community, I was more of a stalker. I would be stalking people, stalking children, looking for victims. When I was more with my employers or the in crowd that I was in, it was something, I was completely different as, oh, I'm the perfect individual, you know, have a good paying job, drive a nice car, dress nice, and go to a lot of high class, fancy places. And this is the life, this is what I would portray to the people that I wanted them to see. My friends, my employers, business associates. This is what I would portray to them. What people didn't know about going on in my home was a lot of extreme violence. Beating my son up, beating my wife up. If my wife wouldn't have sex with me when I wanted it, where I or how I wanted it, I would beat her up and then rape her after I'd beat her. I had beaten my son into unconsciousness a number of times. And then I would keep him, sometimes kept locked up in the house until his bruises healed up. Keep him away from school, keeping him away from his friends. Nobody around me knew what I was doing. Nobody around my community knew that I was such a violent individual in the home. If they did, they never said anything, but I don't believe they ever knew, because I was completely and totally different outside of the house once I left the home.
Even sadists often make thinking errors to rationalize the abuse, but these errors are different from the errors that non-sadists make. While non-sadists tell themselves that they are loving children, sadists such as Gerald often tell themselves that their victims deserve the treatment that they are getting.
Well, I devalued all children, both step-in biological children and others' children. Mostly others and my stepchild. I told myself that my stepchild, you know, because he wasn't mine, because he wasn't my biological son, that he was less than human anyway. Other people's children that I had raped and molested, they weren't mine. They weren't my biological children, so it didn't make any difference to me. I viewed children as a piece of meat. Just, to me, children were a toy. Do what I wanted with and then throw it away.
Gerald did make one unusual thinking error, which is not typical for this kind of offender. Even though he knew the children he was attacking were suffering and he wanted them to suffer because suffering was sexually arousing to him, he still managed to find a way eventually to maintain almost a dual kind of awareness. He was able to enjoy the suffering and at the same time still tell himself the child wanted it to happen.
The thinking process that I used it with pain and how arousing I found it was if a child was screaming, I would tell myself that, you know, the child's not really hurting, because I know in all reality I know I was hurting the child. But the only way that I could continue the act was to tell myself that I wasn't hurting the child. I really wasn't hurting him or her. And I found the more I told myself that, the more I believed it. And then I found that if the child tried to pull away or would scream, holler, cry, and all my lying to myself would enhance that and make it more arousing to me. And the pain, the aspect of inflicting pain was extremely arousing. It was something that had taken time to build up. It didn't just happen. It took time to build that up. And after a while, I could actually take and turn it around to the child was screaming because they wanted more. The child was screaming actually because they liked it. The child was screaming because they wanted me to continue. And it's all turning it around and saying that well, the tears really aren't real for hurt. The screaming isn't really because of pain. It's that the person actually wants this to happen. And that's how I was turning it around. And I had told myself this so many times that I believed it.
Now, did you do that at the time, or did you rework it in your mind later?
When I first found that I was really aroused to inflicting pain, I didn't have to work. I didn't have that line of thinking right then. Okay, I knew that I was hurting them. It took me some time, and I worked it through at a later time. I'd work it over half hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half later, that this child was asking for it. This child wanted more. And the more that I thought about it that way, the more that I looked at it, there came a point in my life after 6, 7 months of doing this that I didn't even have to change the thought process anymore. The immediate thought process was scream, pain, excitement. They wanted it. There was no change after that. I had told myself so much that I had built it into it. It was a built-in thinking process at that point, that child was crying, screaming, because they wanted me to inflict the pain, no matter how much I hurt them. There were incidents and cases where tissue had been torn, blood, and I know there was pain, but I had no remorse for it. I didn't feel sorry for it. I was aroused to that. And the child screaming made the arousal even higher.
It's obvious that this offender and other sadists do not have empathy for their victims, but it would be a mistake to think that a victim empathy program would help. Victim empathy programs work by teaching offenders what the victim is feeling during the attack, that is, that the victims are suffering. Sadists know this already. The problem is the victim's suffering doesn't upset them, it sexually arouses them. In this section, Gerald will tell us exactly how he felt about his victim's suffering.
At the time, I didn't have any feelings for anybody other than myself. I wanted me to feel good, and it didn't make a difference who hurt in the process as long as I felt good. I was very apathetic. I had very little feelings for anybody. At that point in my life, I don't think I had empathy for anybody, including myself. I'm not even sure I knew what empathy was at that point. I didn't care about other people's feelings. I didn't care for other people, period.
Thank you for watching the video, everyone. My voice is a bit hoarse for some fucking reason. It's just got like this yesterday. I've been pretty sick for a while, so I hope I didn't sound too bad during the video. But anyway, thanks for watching this video, guys. I know this was a hard one to get through, so I appreciate if you made it to the end. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and share this video with your friends and family. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video, where hopefully my voice will be back to normal.